Good evening. Welcome to another session of the Sea of Glass. You know, you got to understand the power of the Scriptures and the Old Testament, in which we are going to be in the book of the book of Leviticus. You know, it's to be able to understand the power. You see, once you understand the power, your life gets much, much better on earth. And, you know, I'm going to explain to you how these people get punished by God for worshiping idols, for listening to the false prophet, listening to false religion, listening to all the things that you are forbidden to do. If you think that a religion is helping you go to heaven, you know, they don't even have a clue what heaven is to begin with, because nobody's never been there and nobody's never understood it. But if you come to understand the disobedience, and you see people around you losing the disobedience and suffer so much in their life because of the stupidity, the ignorance that religion teach. So you got to come to understand that God punishes people, and we're going to see it today, how this happens. Go ahead, Rito.
Okay, we're reading out of the book of Leviticus, chapter 26. Last time we recorded on the reward for obedience. Now we're going to follow from verse 14, which is the punishment for disobedience. But if you will not listen to me and carry out all these commands, and if you reject my decrees and abhor my laws and fail to carry out all my commands and so violate my covenant, then I will do this to you. I will bring upon you sudden terror, wasting diseases, and fever that will destroy your sight and drain away your life.
Okay, let's see this destroy your sight. You see, if you don't obey the commandment of the Lord, and you go listen to false prophet, and you believe falsely, you see, what is a falsehood now? A falsehood is something that doesn't exist. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you understand it, it does not match the creation. Everything that don't match the creation is a falsehood. If it's not part of the understanding of our intelligence in the way where it makes sense into common sense, you got to come to understand the Bible is not a book of religion. It's not about religion. It's about common sense. And if you disobey common sense, you disobey the Lord of God. This is what it's all about. You know, religion uses these verses to make people become blind and stupid and ignorant. You know, they look at all the things in the Bible. But unless you turn the Bible into common sense and try to understand it. Now, how does God punish you for, you know what I mean, for disobedience, for trying to understand things with your mind? Try to understand what the false prophet are teaching you. Try to live by, you know, how you get punished for that? You get punished by, you know, the Lord will take your wealth. He won't give you enough money to survive. You're going to be in debt. You're going to have, you know, all kinds of disappointment in your life, and it's not going to work the way you think. You're going to have bad luck, in other words. It's going to be bad luck. It's not going to be like the way of the world, punish people by abusing them. But it's going to be the understanding. God will abuse your understanding, and you will fall for the stupidity of the world. Next thing you know, you become an abuser of others, and the Lord punishes you for that. And you keep being punished for these things. Every time that you break the laws of common sense with reality, you're breaking the laws of God. You know, every time that you believe in something stupid like the 7 sacraments of the Catholic Church, that is totally absurd and stupid and totally ignorant. You know, these things will only bring you to a way of life that you won't understand. And you think because you worship God and you go to church on Sunday that you will be exempt from that. No, that's where you're going to be vulnerable to it. God will not make a distinguish with you, and he will let you fall to the Egyptian. You're going to have all the 10 plagues of Egypt on you. You're going to have the power. Your firstborn will be dead. In other words, your first idea about God will not make sense. And the thing is, you're going to believe in this imaginary heaven that religion has made up, and you're going to believe in the stupidity of the tomb, that they're going to bury you, and someday they're going to pull you out of that tomb, but that's not true. The creation will process the same way it processes, because you don't have the power of the understanding that you must come to understand the abuse of the ignorance that religion has imposed on you. Catholic Church has imposed so much threat on people. Young girls became nuns, and they were stripped of every single thing that they have. They were not allowed to talk. They were not allowed to, and that's the way God punishes people. You want to be an idiot? You want to believe in the stupidity of idiot? Well, you're going to have the understanding of an idiot. You're going to understand that, oh man, you're going to have some cape over your head. You're going to have all this stuff that makes you stupid and ignorance, and you're going to believe it, because God will punish you for your sin. Your sin is because you let your flag down and you believe something that's not true. In order to believe God, you got to believe the common sense of life. And what religion teaches is not the common sense of life, it's the stupidity of the faith that they made up out of this ignorant way of thinking, the mind between plus and minus. You think you're going to go to a place in heaven after you die? No, you ain't going there. Heaven is here right now, in the understanding of the reality of everything. It's the world that religion is talking about. They're talking about the imaginary heaven, the imaginary, life after death, the imaginary, everything is imaginary. Nobody's never really understood that, because you don't give your flesh to the earth. You're supposed to give your flesh to the earth after you passed away from this world. So the vermin of the world will eat your flesh, and it will come to be, not to be put in the tomb, sealed of all life, sealed and then put in the cement vault, 6 feet underneath the ground. You see, this is what religion teaches you, that God will open this big vault someday. And God will bring you to an imaginary heaven where you'll be happy forever and ever. Well, that's a big lie, because the real heaven, you have pain, you have suffering, and you have the understanding, but the Lord gives you a distinguish between those that believe in the truth and those that don't believe in the truth. Your life will be cut short. You'll come to understand that, you can't live in this world no more, because you have failed to understand the living God. You fail to understand the decrees and the laws of the living God. What are the laws of God? It's written in here, but it's written in common sense. It's not written in faith. That's why if you read these things here in faith, you can't understand what they're telling you. But if you read these things in common sense, the real Son of God, you will understand what it's all about. It's the power to understand inside yourself the great glory of a human being that's going to think straight and try to understand the understanding of life. See, you're supposed to have the freedom of yourself. You're supposed to let no one control you. If you let religion control you, you lost your soul. And that's what the punishment of God is to lose your soul in the stupidity and the ignorance of these false religions. If you're a deep down Catholic, well, you already lost your soul. You have to regain your soul in the power of your reason. You have to come to your common sense, say, well, this church is not teaching, what I feel inside myself. This church is not teaching the true feelings of my existence. They're not teaching. So they make nuns and they make brothers, and next thing you know, we had a whole mix of bad sexuality, and the priests and the molestation of the children and everything else, because everybody broke the law. This is how God punishes people. He makes you a stupid idiot out of you, and you think you're better than anybody else. You see, that's the power of the Lord to punish people, punish them to the point, and then at the end of their life, you're going to be buried in a nice big, piece of cement tomb with a nice a casket of fiberglass that's going to be sealed from the earth for the rest of eternity, because you failed to understand the law. You were so stubborn, and your neck was so stiff, you never would turn to anything that makes sense. And the Lord has punished the people of this world. And the justice of the Lord is true and just. Believe me, that everybody that don't want to worship God, that complain about people like me when we give you the truth, well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have a bad taste of the reaction of death after death, because life is everlasting. And I tell you in truth, and I discover in the Bible that, one lifetime is not enough. You live 7 lifetime, and I can prove that with the Bible in my hand, that you can live 7 times in each 1,000 years to complete the day in the creation. We had lived in the understanding from the beginning of Adam and Eve until now. We had lived 6,000 years. Now we're going into the 7,000 years, the 21st century. And when you come to understand the power of that, then you begin to understand that the heaven is here and the happiness of life is here with us. Every part of us that makes you happy in your financing and your well-being, in where you are and where you live and what kind of power that you have within yourself, you got to understand this power. God is the truth. Okay, Rita, I'll leave some more.
You will plant seed in vain, but your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you so that you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will flee even when no one is pursuing you.
Oh, beautiful. The great power of the scriptures that tell you're going to run like crazy when nobody's chasing you. They're gonna tell you stories, and you're gonna believe those stories, and you're gonna bow down to their God, because they scare you with their fears and their stupidity and the ignorance, and the next thing you know, you got to believe them. You got to believe them. And if you look at the world now, the world really believes what Christianity preach. And it's the most stupid thing that you can ever imagine. Now, there's some people out there that don't believe in it. But there's a lot of people out there that are so crazy with the stupidity and the ignorance of Christianity and Catholics and the Muslims and everything else that's in the world in religion, the Mormon, of the Jehovah's Witness, they all part of this pack of lies that comes from fear, so you can lose your soul. But you lose your soul by addicting yourself to them. You lose your soul by coming into an understanding that doesn't make sense. And you lose your soul, and then you can't get it back that easy. It's very hard for a human being to receive back the blessing of God once you throw yourself into the stupidity and the ignorance of false religion. False religion is a plague. It's been a plague of mankind, and people believed in it in all their understanding for the past 4,000 years, and begin to understand the laws of God that was written into this world. Nobody understood the power of the 10 plague of Egypt. Nobody understood this, from the book of Genesis, the 12 sons of Jacob, and how your feelings are being made in the understanding of this great power that we are within ourselves, sons of God, sons of the understanding of common sense and reality. You see, this is what it's all about. It's to be able to understand this great glory of intelligence. So you can come to understand that within ourselves, we are divided into the 12 tribes. We come in the understanding of the 12 tribe of Israel, which is all feelings inside of you. And those 12 feelings are turned into 600,000 feelings. And all these feelings are inside of us. We're going to see in the future, I'm going to teach you about the 3 sons of Levi, how does love work, and how the understanding of love comes to be an understanding inside of you. And it's just not a feeling, but it's also an understanding of love. You see, you got to understand that the Bible is not about religion. It's about common sense. Once you understand the common sense of it, you become alive in the understanding of truth. When you don't believe in that, then you're dead in the feelings of a dead man. That's what the Lord tells you here. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill those feelings of yours. And the more you're going to bring those feelings to, the more you're going to bring your ideas against those feelings, you're going to die. Died in spiritual knowledge. You won't be able to understand nothing. And the more evil you're going to do, the worse you're going to pay for it. Because the Lord tells you, I'm going to punish you. He tells you here that he's going to punish you for the stupidity that you made up for yourself. God, who is the truth, is also the understanding of the truth by the power of a human being that's inside of you. See, that little power that you have inside your soul, the temple of the tabernacle of the understanding, it's just like a little box inside of you that gives you all your knowledge, that gives you all your feelings, and everything is made from that little tabernacle inside of yourself. It's a little box that is inside of you to make sense with. And every time the common sense comes out of there, you feel free, because common sense tells you the freedom of intelligence, the understanding of your sexuality, the understanding of your feelings against others, the understanding. All of these things comes inside of you when you obey the Lord. But when you disobey the Lord and you go practice false religion, well, I tell you, there's nothing about it that you're going to be able to succeed from life. Because at the end, you're just going to lose your soul. Those that try to save their soul will lose their soul. And those that try to gain their soul, whatever the verses writes, whoever tried to save his soul will lose his soul. Whoever tried to save his soul will lose his soul. And the understanding will come to be what it is. You see, if you put your faith in priests, popes, and cardinals, and whoever invented these things, that's a religion of the mind. It's not a religion of feelings. It's a religion of the mind, and it takes an understanding to judge other people with. And you cannot understand why God made your life so miserable. Okay, read some more, Regis.
If after all of this you will not listen to me, I will punish you for your sins 7 times over. I will break down your stubborn pride and make the sky above you like iron and the ground beneath you like bronze. Your strength will be spent in vain, because your soil will not yield its crops, nor will the trees of the land yield their fruit.
Okay, you got to come to understand that these are not the fruit of the earth. These are not the crop of the earth. These are the crop of your understanding. How do you understand the fruit of heaven? How do you understand the good feelings of the wine, the understanding that's inside of you? How you come, you see, the Bible is very simple. It just tells you that you got to live in common sense. It just tells you that you cannot destroy the Holy Spirit inside of you by understanding something that's not true. And they're talking about 7 things here. You know, he will punish you 7 times. He will put you in these 7 sacraments, and you will be punished. Every time you take one of those in vain, and you take these and you believe in them, you will be punished 7 times over. You will be punished for the false baptism. Instead of trying to baptize your soul with the understanding of reality, no, you go and pour a glass of water on the child's head, and you think you've done the, you know, and it's a criminal fact in heaven to do these things. Same thing with forgiving people's sin. That is not, that's a falsehood. You know, people are all part of the understanding to affiliate yourself with God as a person. You cannot be, you know, forgiven by the will of another man to, you know, whatever you do, you have to stand up for yourself and make yourself decision. I understand the Lord your God. And then you got to be careful. You know, don't sell your soul. The confirmation of the Catholic Church is so evil, it's almost unbelievable. That's the most evil thing, that you can possibly sell your soul to a religion. And the next thing, you know, the marriage of the flesh. That's the most dumbest thing you can possibly even do in life, because people think that they have to sell their soul to each other in order for them to have sex or to have a life. You're supposed to live according to the laws of God, in the understanding of the laws of God. And you're not supposed to sell your soul to no one. And everybody that does has a hard life with it, because this is what makes you an understanding of nothing. And then you have the other one is, you know, the priesthood. Believe in people that call themselves the priest. The Bible uses the priest for love. This is not part of an understanding of the priest. They read the Bible in the understanding of the mind, and they made an understanding of priesthood and the understanding of it, you know. And, you know, the worst part of the old thing is they sell you heaven at the end. They sell you a fake heaven at the end. And whoever believes in that is going to be part of the fake heaven, the fake part of the extra motion of a human being, you know, that's going to be, you know, fly to heaven because you were a good Catholic, because you were a good Christian. All of these things are made up. All of these things has been brought to the understanding of something on earth that doesn't make any sense, but they make people believe it. And the stupid people of the world that believe these things, well, you're in deep, deep trouble. Because the trouble that you are in, you're in the loss of your soul. The most important thing in your life is to receive life again. You know, because we don't live forever in the understanding of our little flesh. Little flesh will come to go, and you hope to receive life again. And the only way you can receive life is through the common sense of intelligence that you are to respect the laws of God, respect the laws of nature, respect the laws of the creation, and live by the rule of the creation and the great power of the creation. This is what the Lord tells you, that if you take your spirit and you throw it into a false religion, and the Lord said, I'm going to punish you for that. I'm going to punish you so hard. You're going to think that you're married to a man or married to a woman. And these are the people that's going to hurt you, because you sold your soul to them. You did not accept the fact of life. You know, in the creation, that everything is a free thing, and you don't have to sell your soul to receive the blessing of life. You don't have to sell your soul to no one to receive the blessing of life. You know, to have sex with a woman is totally free. For a woman to have sex with a man is totally free. It's not part. It's the blessing of life. And the Lord gave it to you in freedom of all. See, when they tell you that you have to take an understanding and you have to be at the understanding of life, it has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, you're breaking the power of a human being. And when you're breaking the power of a human being, the way you were created, at that point, you sold your soul because you believe what other people tell you. You don't believe what the Lord has made you to be. You see, that's the greatest sin of all. It's to destroy yourself by believing what other people tell you to believe. You see, like the Pope has no power over you. But if you, that's what it tells you here, you're going to run when nobody's chasing you, because that man has no power over you. But then if you let him do his power over you, then he has a lot of power, because you sold your soul to that religion and that church. You cannot do that. God is the truth. And unless you believe in the truth of that God, you cannot receive life everlasting. You're going to lose your soul. What is more important in this world to lose his soul? And the way it was done in the New Testament, you can gain the whole world, but if you lose your soul, you have lost everything. You see, what I'm trying to tell you is that your feeling that's inside of you, and everything that you feel inside of you, comes from God. And everything that comes from these people to make you believe what they believe comes from them. And if you place your trust in them, you destroy the very symbolic fire of the Lord himself. You destroy what the Lord is. The Lord is your feelings. And when he gives you feeling for a certain amount of stuff in life, for your benefits of life, you don't have to go through a false prophet to benefit from that. You don't have to get married in front of a priest or in front of a judge, in front of a, you know what I mean? I have to understand that a woman is inside of you. If you accept that woman to be with you, you accept her. You didn't sell your soul to her. You accept her. And that is accepting. See, the seventh time over there, you can get so punished, and you can get so, you blow yourself right up to pieces. The truth comes in the soul of a human being. That makes the truth to the light of man. Go ahead, Rita, read some more.
If you remain hostile toward me and refuse to listen to me, I will multiply your afflictions 7 times over, as your sins deserve. I will send wild animals against you, and they will rob you of your children, destroy your cattle, and make you so few in number that your roads will be deserted.
You got to come to understand the power of this law here. If you be hostile to the Lord, if you don't worship the Lord, and if you don't believe what's inside your soul is what the Lord is, when you have a feeling inside yourself, that feeling is yours. And you have to come to understand that the feelings of the good things in life comes to you from God. It's the same as the evil of the world. You know, if you do not understand the truth, you'll have bad feelings. And you will not have good feelings in the understanding. You see, if you feel something in your life, in the understanding of reality, that's yours. But you see, what happens to people, they say, well, no, I believe in a God outside the creation, somewhere else, and that God will come to save me someday. Well, this is what Christianity believes. They believe somewhere out there there's a God on the other side of the hill of life, and this God is over there, and he created the 7 above the cloud, and one day I'll be flying over there for them. That is not the truth. You will be punished 7 times over. The 7th sacrifice will make you so impure, so stupid, and so ignorant to the reality of everything that you're going to believe that you are saved by the glory of stupidity and ignorance. And you will not give yourself the fighting chance to understand the power of the understanding of life on earth. God, who is the truth, will protect you from the understanding of the falsehood of the world. Only if you turn your head, your stiff neck, a little bit on the other side of what you believe, and try to understand what I'm talking about here. Try to understand what the Lord is telling you here in the scriptures. He's telling you to open your heart and to understand the glory of an intelligent power of itself, so you can come to understand. See, the creation is made for you to be free from all the sin of the world. What are your enemy? What are your wild beasts here? You wild beasts are the false prophet. They come with lies. Those are your enemies. And those lies make your heart inflicted into stupidity and evil. And you don't think they're so because they look good. They look that they're man of God that teaches you. But they're not man of God that teaches you. They're ignorant people that try to inflict their lies onto you. By doing that, they make the world look like it's a back world situation. And you think that you're with them in the glory of intelligence, which you're not. You know, I mean, they make all kinds of rules, all kinds of holidays of stupidity and ignorance. They got the assumption, they got the great power of, you know, and every single thing that they do, makes you a little bit more vulnerable to the Lord. You know, you cannot accept what they tell you, because these are the wild beasts. They're talking about the wild heaven that doesn't exist. They're talking about the imagination of life after death, which they have no idea what the day of Sabbath is all about. They have no idea what the loss of Sabbath is. But they're talking about something. And they try to tell you that's the day of the week. You're not supposed to work. You're not supposed to try to understand something that you did not live in the reality of your understanding of your feelings. God is the truth. And unless you believe in that truth, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. Go ahead there, Rita.
If in spite of these things you do not accept my correction but continue to be hostile toward me, I myself will be hostile toward you and will afflict you for your sins 7 times over. And I will bring the sword upon you to avenge the breaking of the covenant.
You see, once you break that covenant with God, in other words, what is the covenant with God? The covenant with God is that you are not allowed to believe in anything from superstitions, from the world of make-believe, from the understanding of the stupidity of what people teach you, and the understanding of everything that makes no sense. You got to make a covenant with the Lord. It's a power of a covenant. And you look at the Lord and you say, Lord, I will never believe in anything that does not come from the truth. You cannot believe in anything that comes from lies. You cannot believe the wild beasts of religion. You cannot believe in the stupidity and the ignorance of what people believe in the stupidity of all that there is. You got to come to understand that the other side of life is to be able to understand what makes sense. And if you break that covenant with God and say, oh, well, I'm going to believe in Christmas, you're breaking the laws. If you believe in Halloween, oh my God, that's a nice thing, and we can put costume and go around. See, you believe in something stupid. If you believe in the essential of Mary, you know what I mean? You believe in the stupidity that doesn't make sense. You know, you don't believe in the truth. You see, the parable is what came out of the mouth of the truth. You know, the story that began and the fantasy of the New Testament that people believe is not the truth. You know, you got to understand what makes sense in the understanding. You know, if Jesus walked on water, there's a symbolic power of common sense that will tell you that water is reality. And you have to walk on reality without sinking. You see, what they do is they take these things into granted that this is what the truth is. And every time they take that, they get punished 7 times over because they believe in the 7 sacraments. And every time they believe in those 7 sacraments and receive those 7 sacraments. I saw, not too long ago, I went by the river and I see people, a Christian preacher throwing people underneath the water. So stupid, so ignorant. Almost drown these people for no reason. And he holds them underneath the water until they can't breathe no more. And they're supposed to wash their sin. It's such a stupid thing to do, such an ignorant thing to do. And the people that believe that are breaking the laws of God. Can you understand that you're not supposed to believe in superstitions? You're not supposed to believe in the world of make-believe. You're supposed to worship inside your soul the power of your intelligence. And this is the covenant that you made with the Lord. I will never believe something stupid. I don't care if it comes from the Bible or comes from anything else. I believe in the truth. What makes sense in the reality of the creation. If it's not, then it's not part of God. See, these are the people of religion that made these things up along the way. The parables came from God, but the rest of it did not come from God. It comes from the Satan of the world, the wild beasts of the, See, you got to take the Bible, and you got to separate the Bible from facts and figure. You have to go to facts. And you take everything else, the plus and minus, and you get rid of it. Because it doesn't make sense to the reality of the creation. Nobody walks on water. Nobody brings the dead back to life. This is the people that made these stories happen, who wrote the Bible. But when you write, the parable that Jesus brought, it's a total different word. You understand it. But if you read that, then you'll form the 7 sacraments into it because it's all part of superstitions. Go ahead, Rita, read some more.
When you withdraw into your cities, I will send a plague among you, and you will be given into enemy hands. And you will be given into enemy hands. When I cut off your supply of bread, 10 women will be able to bake your bread in one oven, and they will dole out the bread by weight. You will eat, but you will not be satisfied.
You see, the power is that people that go to church, they go there to bake bread, try to understand the scriptures. They go there, try to understand, and they have the 10 plagues of Egypt inside of them. Nobody seemed to understand nothing there. It's part of a knowledge that everybody's making up something to call it faith. But, God is not into faith. God is into common sense. You got to reality the person. Now, you got to have faith in common sense, yes, but not faith in superstitions and ignorance and all the stupidity that these people believed in. You got to come to understand that the Lord will make you free if you obey His command. But if you do not obey His command, you can pray all you want. I remember when St. Oak happened, they were at Vigilant all over the place, right? To pursue God. The kids have already been killed. They're not coming back to life, and you can pray all you want. You see, the thing is, if you want to stop these things from happening, you got to change your faith inside of you. You stop believing in the stupidity and the ignorance that comes. And then we have it all over the world now. I mean, people are taking machine guns and shooting in a whole bunch of people. And why? Why? You can pray all you want. They keep happening. And they won't stop happening until you come to understand that the scriptures is on your side if you believe in the truth. I don't care how much you're going to pray for him, how much you're going to take from him. It doesn't matter. You can have a vigilant everywhere. You can close all and only have candle light, and you can do all that you want. But the great power of truth comes within the teaching of the law. You have to obey the laws of God. And the laws of God are very simple. They tell you how to treat other people. They tell you how to worship God. First, how to understand common sense in scriptures. The next thing is they tell you how to treat your brother around you without treating them, abusing them, putting them in jail for no reason sometimes, just because you think you're better than them. You see, you got to come to understand that everybody that does a crime against them in the stupidity and the ignorance of the power of which they are will come to an understanding that you're not going to be able to enter the kingdom of God unless you understand the laws of God. You got to come, and you can't understand the laws of God from false religion, because false religion cannot teach you what they don't have. You got to come to understand that you have it inside your soul, and if you want to understand the truth, you have to go there. That's where the Lord is. You cannot get it from falsehood. You can only get it from the truth, and God is the truth. Go ahead, Reno.
If in spite of this you still do not listen to me, but continue to be hostile toward me, then in my anger I will be hostile toward you, and I myself will punish you for your sins 7 times over. You will eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters.
Okay, come to understand, what is your son? Your son is not a little baby that was born from your wife. Your son is the understanding that lives inside of you and your daughter, what you think. How you think, how you feel. Sons of spiritual power is a son of a spiritual power. And the daughter of a spiritual power is a daughter of the mind that comes to the understanding, and it makes sense to the creation. This is how the whole thing works. It doesn't work in the way that you come to understand the power of the understanding of life on earth. You have to give yourself up to the understanding that's inside your heart. If you don't do that, you cannot be part of God's assembly. You can go to church all you want. You can go to all the meaning of Christianity, all the preaching of Christianity. God will not give you a single idea of feeling inside your soul, because he's going to be hostile towards you. As you're hostile toward him, you don't believe what you feel, you're going to get punished for it, because that's being hostile toward the Lord. You don't believe what you feel. Oh, no, I feel I must be losing my mind. No. When you feel something, it comes from God. And when these people are telling you, well, don't live according to your feelings. You can't live according to your feelings. Well, if you cannot live according to your feeling, if you go to court and everybody wants these people to go to jail for what they have done, and you don't think that they are guilty of the sin that they done, then you have to live with your feelings. You cannot live against them just because everybody else is against them. See, this is the power of where true faith comes in. It's the understanding of the creation. Everybody was given life, and you're not supposed to put people away just because you don't think they're good enough for society. You're supposed to take the criminal that really commits awful crime, and you have to try to teach them how to be a better person. Just don't put them in the cage somewhere for the rest of their life and say, well, no, you can't get parole because you committed such a big crime. Everybody that committed a crime has the right to come and be in the understanding of himself and try to make sense out of life. You see, what happened is that everything that people does in the spirit of this power of what we are inside of us, God, who is the truth, has to come and deliberate the truth inside of you. Go ahead, Rita. I've got a lot of stuff to do.
I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and pile your dead bodies on the lifeless forms of your idols, and I will abhor you.
Okay, go to the cemetery and see all the dead that's over there. See all the people that did not give their flesh to life itself, after they die. You're supposed to have understanding. If you're going to be buried in the earth, you have to be buried without casket, without all the garbage of the earth. So your varmint of the earth can eat your flesh because they're alive. You know, the little worm out there that eats your flesh, he brings you back to life. And the same thing if you get cremated, you still got to throw your ash to the ground. But you're not supposed to be inside of a casket for the rest of eternity because you're going to suffer there. The power is that your spirit is going to want life again. And there is no life for you because you defile the great power of intelligence. You defile what God is. You know, the truth, the power of the truth that it is. You listen to falsehood and you practice falsehood all your life and you expect it to go with the truth when you die. Well, you are wrong because it's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen in a way where a human being will come to be in the understanding of himself and the understanding of his feelings. And you're going to have to learn to love people with justice, with fairness, and with unity. If you don't do that, you'll be submitted to the power of reason. That makes no sense at all. Go ahead, Rita, read some more. We've got to read this because I want to make sure.
I will turn your cities into ruins and lay waste your sanctuaries, and I will take no delight in the pleasing aroma of your offerings. I will lay waste the land so that your enemies who live there will be appalled.
Okay, come to understand that you will take your city, it will destroy you. What is your city? Your city is your religion. When they talk about cities in the Bible, they talk about your religion. They're all cities all over the place. And everybody formed their little religion of stupidity and ignorance. And they try to bring as many people into their church as they can because they don't want to talk to themselves on Sunday morning. And they want to get the money that these people have so they can. You look back at the centuries of the past and the understanding of the millennium that we live before now, and people were always trying to make a little church, a little religion of its power. But the Lord said, this is not where you should worship God. You have to worship God in the temple, at the door of the tent of the Lord, where the understanding comes into your soul. It's inside of you. And if you go to these false little religion, then God will destroy those at the end. Religion will not survive the day of the Lord, let me tell you that. It will not survive. The Catholic Church will fall. Christianity will fall. Everything will fall because it was not meant to be. These are the things that people made up. So God let them rise so to punish those that never listen to their heart. And when you don't listen to your heart is where the understanding of the Almighty God is, then you have a false religion to believe. And the Lord will destroy these cities. He's telling you here, I will destroy that. You know why? Because the people of this world do not accept the truth from their heart. They do not try to understand the scriptures from their own heart and try to reason with themselves with what they are. Oh, they try to make things up and try to fool people with what they believe, but it won't work. You know, the understanding of this great power that we have within ourselves. God who is the truth. Read some more, Rita.
I will scatter you among the nations and will draw out my sword and pursue you. Your land will be laid waste, and your cities will lie in ruins. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbath years, all the time that it lies desolate, and you are in the country of your enemies. Then the land will rest and enjoy its Sabbaths, all the time that it lies desolate. The land will have the rest it did not have during the Sabbaths you lived in it.
You see, the Sabbath is telling you here, you come to understand things in the way of the false prophet. That's the Sabbath. They tell you about a heaven that doesn't exist. They tell you about a life after you pass from this world that doesn't exist. They don't tell you what does exist. in the understanding. That's what I keep on telling people. What's wrong with this creation? That you have to make something that the creation is. A little baby is born from the miracle of life and is born in the understanding, and then he goes to school and he begins to understand mathematics, understand how to read, how to write, how to come to the understanding, the greatest glory of life itself. If there's something in this world that's more magical than a child learning his mathematics in school and coming to understanding, it's part of this glory of himself that he's developing into a human being, the power of it. And then he comes to his death as an old man, and he lies, and then he comes back again with the understanding of the same process that he was from the last process, and then he lives life everlasting. But you see, this is real. It's too real for people to understand that. You know, you have to go and you have to fly in the land of make-believe to believe nothing that's true in the understanding of life on earth. God, who is the truth, and he tells you what makes sense, and he tells you what does not make sense, and you should not throw your spirit to a passing of its power that a human being is to understand the glory of intelligence. What is in this world that you have to understand something different than the creation? Why did you have to fly somewhere else? Why did people have to go fly with Jesus after life, you know, and learn nothing for the rest of eternity? This creation here is a human being learning forever and ever in the massive power of his feelings. And as long as he lives, as long as he comes back to life, in life after life, he comes to an understanding of these life after life, and then he's learning. That's the most powerful thing on earth, is to learn and keep learning. Okay, the power of the time is getting short, so I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let Rita read some more. Rita, read some more of this.
As for those of you who are left, I will make their hearts so fearful in the lands of their enemies that the sound of a wind-blown leaf will put them to flight. They will run as though fleeing from the sword, and they will fall even though no one is pursuing them. They will stumble over one another as though fleeing from the sword, even though no one is pursuing them. So you will not be able to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations. The land of your enemies will devour you. Those of you who are left will waste away in the lands of their enemies because of their sins. Also because of their fathers' sins, they will waste away.
Okay, let's leave it at that. You see what's going to happen? These are the words that's written in the Bible. These are not my words. They're the words. You will be punished time and time again as long as you don't believe in the truth. Believe in the truth and everything that makes sense, and you don't have to make nothing up of the creation of life on earth. You got to understand that God is the truth. And unless you worship the Lord your God in the truth, you cannot be part of his assembly. If you want to be part of the assembly in God and come to the understanding of life and live life after life on earth in the greatest power of yourself. You see, in the future, you're not going to have 7, 8 billion people in the world, because the world will come to decrease and it will come to be a better place to live, because the human being will receive a new heart. And the new heart will not be brought by the hand of the false prophet. Let me tell you that. All the false prophet and the false religion will come to be destroyed and be no more. You won't see nobody call himself a Christian in the future. You won't see nobody call himself a Catholic in the future. You will be totally in the life of stupidity, that God is the truth, and the truth is God. Thank you for tuning in, and believe me, have a nice day, and may God bless you all. You know, thank you for tuning in. Bye.